Hey kids, it's Miss Sasha. Welcome back to art class today. I'm really very happy to be here again. Today we are going to review some of the lines and shapes that we've been talking about all school year long. Also, some math concepts like big, small, short, tall, all while creating a beautiful abstract quilt. What is a quilt? Does anybody know what a quilt is? Raise your hand if you have a quilt. Raise your hand if you have a quilt on your bed or your couch. Yes, well, a quilt is different from a blanket, and I'll tell you about that in a minute. But a quilt is a multi-layered textile. Textile? Huh, what's a textile? Well, a textile is a woven or knitted piece of cloth. People use textiles all the time. We use textiles to make clothing, towels, sheets, tablecloths, carpets, boat sails, flags. Can you think of anything else that you might be wearing right now that might be made out of a textile or woven piece of fabric? I bet that you might have a winter hat that is woven out of different textiles. That would be a thicker piece of yarn. Your jacket to keep you warm in the winter. Maybe even your socks. Your socks are woven together with textiles to make a sock, right? I was thinking that maybe you could even have your sweater. A sweater is definitely knitted together to make with textiles to make a sweater, and it keeps you warm, right? It's a little bit thicker. So some fabrics or textiles are thinner and some are thicker. Depends on what you're trying to make and what season you're going to wear that textile in. A quilt usually has 3 layers of fabric, whereas a blanket is just 1 layer. So they're very, very different. It usually has a woven cloth top. I'm going to show you. I brought a quilt. Here is a quilt. It's a beautiful quilt. This is the top layer, and the top layer is usually made from different pieces of fabric, all stitched together. So this was a different piece of fabric in each of these. And they're usually pretty colors. Some of them make a perfect pattern, and some of them are a little bit more abstract, where they're not in a pattern. Some of the quilt looks the same all around. Some of them have Christmas trees on them. Could be a Christmas quilt. Some of them might have sunshine on them that you might keep at your cabin, right? And then after you have your first layer of fabric, the second layer is what they call the batting or the fluff, right? This is for the inside of the quilt. The more you put, the thicker your quilt will be. So these are usually put inside of these little pieces. As you can see, this is an old quilt, and some of it is coming out, right? That's what happens when your quilt gets used and you love it and it keeps you warm. And then the third layer is the back, and the back is usually a solid color, right? You can see the stitches. Once you have all 3 layers together and the cushioning is in the inside, then all 3 layers are sewed together, and this is called quilting. That's what makes your quilt. I want to show you this quilted jacket. Look, can you see the stitches? It's got 3 layers too. It's got an outer layer. It has the stuffing on the inside, and then it has the inside layer. You can see that this jacket has the stuffing in it. It's puffy. This is my winter jacket. It keeps me warm. I would not wear this jacket in the summer, right? So, quilts are usually heavier and thicker than blankets, right? They're used to stay warm in the winter. A lot of times quilts have historical value. What does that mean? Well, it means that they might tell a story, right? They could be a gift that's handed down from a grandparent. You could have a quilt that you might get when you get married, right? Your quilt might be a memory from a sports teams that you were on. So if you collected all of your jerseys or all of your t-shirts, someone might make a quilt out of these things that are special to you, right? There are some quilts that are used for exhibits in museums, or even have museums that are dedicated only to quilts. Our quilts are going to be very abstract. Look, there's no pattern in our quilt. This quilt has a pattern. This quilt has a zigzag pattern. I should say this one's triangles, right? This quilt has lots of rectangles and squares all put together to make this one beautiful quilt. And this one is filled with circles. This one's very abstract. There's lots of shapes, lots of different fabrics, all sewed together to make this one beautiful abstract quilt. What's abstract? Do you remember? We talked about it last time. Abstract is more all about shapes and colors and feelings, right? That it expresses. Maybe this one makes you feel more warm. Maybe this one makes you feel festive, right? It's not about what the picture really looks like. Kind of like this quilt. It's not making a picture. It's just a bunch of pieces put together to make this big, beautiful quilt. So today we're going to use different shapes, colors, and lines to create our abstract quilt. The supplies you're going to need today are going to be 2 pieces of white paper and a black crayon and assorted crayons as well, so we can color in all these beautiful colors. Now is a good time to pause your video and gather all your supplies. Now that you've gathered all your supplies, it's time to get started. I want you to get 1 piece of white paper and put it in front of you vertically. You can put the other one underneath if you'd like. And grab your black crayon. Okay, everybody all set up? Okay, I have my black crayon. I have 2 pieces of paper, one underneath the other. I'm going to move this one that's super colorful so you can see how it's all black and white on this piece, okay? You got it? Okay, the first line we're going to make is going to be a line right down the middle. We're going to practice some of the skills that we're going to need in order to draw our quilt. We're going to practice a few more of our lines and our shapes. Okay? All right, on one side of this paper, I want you to draw some rectangles. Tall, skinny rectangles. Maybe they're different size. I'm going to do 4 rectangles, all different sizes. I have some that are short and I have some that are tall. This one's shorter than this one. Can you point to your tallest rectangle? This one's my tallest rectangle. Can you point to your shortest rectangle? That's right. This one is taller than this one. This one is shorter. Look, this one's shorter than this one. It's the shortest rectangle of them all. Perfect. Let's practice making some circles. Watch this. I'm going to do a circle, and then I'm going to put a circle around it. This circle is small. It's smaller than the circle that's around it, right? And this is our biggest circle. That means it's bigger than this circle. Can you make a bigger circle? I'm going to make it next to it. Look at that. This circle is bigger than both of these. It's bigger than, right? Perfect. You can add circles inside a circle. See how small you can get? Mine turned into a dot. It's so small, it turned into a dot. Okay? Let's practice drawing some diagonal lines. Remember, diagonal lines go from corner to corner. They're slanted, right? Watch. Slanted lines. I'm going to draw a bunch of them. They're diagonal. If you did diagonal lines the other way, they would crisscross. Watch. Awesome. Those are diagonal lines. Which shape could we work on next? Let's do some triangles. We'll do 2 triangles. If you do a triangle underneath it, like upside down, it makes a diamond. Look at that. I have a diamond. I have 2 triangles, one on top of each other. I'm going to fill these triangles with little bitty circles. Can you do that? This one's full, this one's empty. These are empty. Great. Let's practice making some zigzag lines. This quilt has zigzag lines on it. We can go across our page. Look, let's make a long one and let's make a short one. Short zigzag line. Can you make a shorter zigzag line? Awesome. How about wavy lines? Wavy lines are my favorite. I'm going to go ahead and make some wavy lines on my paper. In any of that empty space, I'm making wavy lines. I made them all the same size. They're equal. Look at these are all equal in length, right? You could practice making a different shape. I did not make any ovals or semicircles. I can show you how, right? An oval is like a long, skinny circle like this, long and skinny. A semicircle is half of a circle. If you added the other half, it would make a circle. So you could put a line in the middle of any circle and have 2 semicircles that are stuck together. Perfect. Let's go ahead and get started on our abstract shape and line quilt. Okay, go ahead and put your other piece of paper underneath. Keep your black crayon. We're going to start with our black crayon, then we'll fill it in with all the beautiful colors, just like these quilts, right? Look at them. They're beautiful. Are you ready? Let's get started. I have my paper. It's vertical. You could put the other one underneath if you'd like. We're going to start with a black crayon and then we'll fill it in with all of those beautiful colors, okay? Let's start with the easiest thing of all. We're going to do a vertical line down the middle of our paper from top to bottom. Watch, find the middle. Is this the middle? No. Is this the middle? No, it's not. This is the middle. I'm going to go from top all the way to the bottom. Watch. As straight as I can get it. How did you do? Give me a thumbs up. Perfect. All right, now we need to find the middle and go horizontally across the page from side to side. Is this the middle? No. Find the middle. This is the middle. I'm going to go from left all the way to the right, and I have 4 rectangles. They're almost equal, but they don't have to be perfect. Look at this abstract quilt. It's not perfect. It's all kinds of different shapes and colors and fabric designs. So it's okay if our quilt is not perfect. Okay? Now we're going to do another line across our paper. We want to find the middle of this space. Watch. Perfect. It's another horizontal line. We have to do the same thing at the bottom. We want to have 8 little rectangles when we're all done. Watch. Okay? Got it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This one is not equal to this one, but it's okay. Okay, we're going to do different shapes or lines in each little rectangle. We're going to do them all the same, okay? That way we can stay on the same page. Let's start up here. Don't go ahead of me. In this rectangle, let's do circles. We're really good at circles. We're going to make big circles and little circles. You could put circles inside of circles, and you can have circles touching circles. Watch. Big, smaller, and smaller. This one's the biggest one. This one's the smallest. I can have a circle touching my circle. I can have circles around my circle. And I can have more circles. I want to fill in circles all over my page in this little bitty rectangle. Got it? That's a lot of circles in one small space, but I'll be able to put all these different colors in those little bitty circles. Some of the circles you can even color in with your black crayon. Some of them can be little black dots, and maybe I'll color this one with my black. So color in a few of your circles with the black. Perfect. Let's move on to this rectangle. This rectangle is going to be filled with wavy lines. Watch. Little wavy lines. Wide wavy lines. Maybe I'll do a pattern of wavy lines. Remember, your wavy lines have no points at the top or the bottom. They're curved at the top and curved at the bottom. Maybe you can do some shorter wavy lines, right? This one's not as long as this one. They're shorter. They're going across our page. Maybe I'll do a little bitty one right here. Look, you're trying to fill in this rectangle with as many wavy lines as you can fit without scribbling. We're not scribbling. They're not crossing. This is not wavy lines, that's scribbling. Do a wavy line across your page, like a wave. Okay. Let's go. Does anyone remember what kind of line this is? Goes from corner to corner. Do you remember? It starts with the sound of d. Diagonal, right? Can you say diagonal? It's a really long word. We're going to go from corner to corner to make a diagonal line. Right? Okay. Now watch. These diagonal lines are going to get shorter and shorter. Watch. Here's a diagonal line. It's getting shorter and shorter. We're filling in this rectangle with diagonal lines. Look, they go, this is the longest one. This is the shortest one. There's more diagonal lines on this side than there is on this side right now. Right? This one's got less. It's not full. But we're going to fill it in now. Watch. Diagonal. Diagonal. They're getting shorter. They're getting shorter. Look how short they get. Oh my gosh, you can't even see how short that one is. How short can your diagonal lines get? Perfect. Our next rectangle is going to be filled with triangles. Lots and lots of triangles. Look at this quilt. It's made up of only triangles. It's made up of warm colored triangles. They're all pinks or reds or oranges, right? So we're going to fill this one with triangles. Watch. Here's a big triangle. I'm going to fill this empty triangle with more triangles. Can you fill your triangle with triangles? That sounds silly. Remember, a triangle has how many sides? You remember? 4? No. It's got 3 sides. 3 sides make up a triangle. Look at the triangles here. They go from bigger to smaller. I'm going to try that. Maybe I can't fit as many. Watch. Triangle. Getting smaller. Perfect. but I have all this empty space. So I want to fill up this empty space with what? More triangles. You guessed it. Look. Look at all those triangles. Maybe I could split this triangle in half, and it has 2 triangles out of 1. Look at that. It's filled with triangles. Good job. How's everybody doing? Nod your head yes if you're doing great. This is all the shapes that you've been talking about and the lines that you've been practicing all school year. You're getting great at this. All right, our next rectangle is going to be filled with squares. Lots and lots of squares. Watch. I'm going to make one big square in the middle. I think I'm going to make little squares all the way around. Whoa, one of my squares almost turned into a rectangle. If that happens, it's okay. Do you think we should put squares inside of squares? I think we should. Or what if we take this big square and put a vertical line and a horizontal line? It makes 4 squares out of 1 square. See how small you can get with your squares. Look at that. Squares inside of squares. This quilt up here has lots of squares. Squares on top of squares, right? And then some rectangles. Lots of tiny little rectangles all quilted together to make one nice warm quilt. All right, ready? Everybody's favorite, zigzag lines. They have a point at the top and a point at the bottom, right? They go up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. This one's going to be tiny little ones. Look. Up, down, up, down. Up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Whoa, I don't have a lot of room. I only could make 4 zigzag lines. This rectangle is filled with zigzag lines. Look at these, don't have anything. These 2 rectangles are empty right now, but we're going to fill them up, right? You have your zigzag lines done? Great. We have 2 rectangles left. We're going to do curved lines. These curved lines are going to make, well, a rainbow. Look at that. They made a rainbow. I started with a small curved line, and I got bigger and bigger and bigger. I'm going to fill this rectangle with curved lines. Look at that. This is my biggest curved line. This is smaller than this one. It's so small. I think I can make one even smaller. Why don't you try? Curved lines. If you put curved lines together, you can make a cloud, right? Curve, 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 or a flower. But if you just leave one curved line at a time, it could make a rainbow. All right, we have 1 rectangle left. And look at this. We're going to fill this rectangle with rectangles. We have tall. This one's taller than this one. This one's so short. It's so much shorter than this one. I want you to make whatever size rectangles you want. I'm going to make mine this way this time. Rectangle. Rectangle. Look at this. Whoa. Look at all these rectangles. We've designed our abstract quilt. We only use black right now because we're going to fill it in with beautiful colors, right? This is our abstract quilt. It's not really making a picture of anything. It's just representing different lines and shapes that might cause you to feel a different way, right? This one makes me feel like I want to eat lollipops. This one right here. This one maybe makes me feel like I'm at the beach and those could be like waves, zigzag waves or water coming in. This one, ooh, it's bright and happy. This one makes me feel crazy. Look at all of these lines and shapes and colors. This one might be my favorite one. Makes me feel like the sunshine, right? All right, so go ahead and get a crayon and start filling in your squares or your rectangles however you want to fill them in. I just want you to use lots and lots and lots of color. You might want to start with one rectangle at a time. I'm going to start with my rectangle that's filled with triangles. Take your time coloring it. I'm going to use purple on this one. I'm going to make a pattern. I'm going to have purple, white on this triangle inside of triangles. Perfect, guys. Here we go. Go ahead and pick another color, right? You can do whatever color you want. We're making an abstract quilt that is filled with colors. Keep filling in your quilt with all those beautiful colors. Here is the quilt that I had finished earlier, right? I'm going to put it right back up here so you can see how bright it is and all the different patterns I made. Look, this is a purple, blue, green, but then this one isn't a pattern at all. This is a rainbow. Oh, it's upside down. It's okay. Wavy lines, I did a pattern here. Some of them don't have patterns at all. And that's up to you. I just want you to fill it in with all those colors. Or I'm going to do a pattern here too. What? I'm going to do orange, green, orange, green. Take your time. Do your best coloring. I finished this one. This one's filled with color, so I can move on to, maybe I'll finish this one. You can leave some spaces white. You can even use your black again to add in some solid black like I did with this one. Remember these circles up here? If you want to leave the background white, you can. Perfect. Turn to your neighbor. How's your neighbor doing? Give them a thumbs up. I bet theirs is very different. Even though we drew them the same, when you color them in, they're going to be super duper different. So it's okay. There's no wrong answers to how you're coloring in your quilt right now. I'm going to finish this one with yellow in the background. I wouldn't color it blue because then my other triangles might blend in and I wouldn't be able to see them anymore. Ooh, look at that. The yellow makes the blue and the purple stand out. Really bright. Good. Can you think of another color pattern you could use on one of yours? I might do red, green, red, green, red, green. Makes me think of Christmas, right? What about, some people might do purple, yellow, purple, yellow. You might be a Tigers fan. You could do red for your favorite team, maybe UL, or black and gold for the Saints. You could do whatever color pattern you want. You can finish coloring in your quilt maybe later in the day. Maybe you can suggest somebody else make a really cool abstract quilt. Today was really great. Think about all the different shapes that you've been learning about in your math class. Think about all the lines we've been practicing all school year long. We used all of these skills to create a quilt. We talked about some math concepts like big, small, shorter than, taller than, full, empty, more than, less than. Took a lot of different things to make one quilt. But guess what? When you're finished coloring them, you can take all your tiny quilts and put them all together and make one big, beautiful class quilt. Thank you so much for joining me today. I look forward to seeing you next week.